And I thought that was horrible. First of all, this kid didn't know nothing about no slavery. And secondly, that you would do that to this kid. And we went to this principal and all that, and later apologized and all that. But what does that do? You know, young girl, and it was a young girl. Young girls go under the desk with just a little pimple on the cheek, and when you call them out like that, what does that do to them? I mean, what kind of damage does that do to her as an individual and whatever? And how do you recover from that? And we thought that was horrible, and we brought that out to the again to the principal, and the teacher had to apologize and on and on and on and on. But even if you apologize, I mean, the damage is done, and I don't think when you take toothpaste out, you can't get it back in the tube. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You talked also about how you helped with the judicial system.
Well, when I was president of NAACP, we went down, would go to the court and sit in the court and watch, particularly the traffic court and some of the other courts, in terms of the punishment that was given out. And I was just amazed that you would see a minority and a white person come up, same identical incident, and there's such disparity in the punishment that was meted out. And we raised those issues with the police department, we raised them with the judges, we raised them with the board of supervisors. That this, just go down there and see. I mean, this is blatantly bad. And we had some of the people in the court system. You'd go, and this young boy had a court-appointed attorney, and he meets the court-appointed attorney in court. The judge is there having his court, and the guy walks in. He got this big satchel of cases. He pulled it out. Where's Johnny? And there's Johnny sitting right there in front of the court now, and he's going to defend him in court, and he's just meeting him while he's in court. And we thought that was horrible. We worked with the community persons, and we were able to get some of that change, but that's still going on today.
Are there other issues, do you think, that need to be addressed that haven't been addressed
Within
Fairfax County and NAACP? And
well, one of the things that that we've tried our very best to get is more minorities in leadership. At the time, I'm not sure what it is now, but at the time when I was president, there's something like 32 major positions within the county. I'm sure you may know the county at the time hired about 10,000 people. They were the largest employer in the county. Was Fairfax, well, in Northern Virginia. And we tried our very best to get one of those, or some of those 32 positions. We said, why can't some of them be minority? At the time when I was president, none was minorities. We also worked with them in terms of having a diversity office that they put in. I think that's still there. And we work with trying to get that done and make them a little bit more sensitive that there'll be some recourse when employees had incidents, that was a recourse for them to be able to get it done, because prior to that, most time they'd just be fired and that'd be it. It'd be done. Mm-hmm. But then when the diversity office came in, that was a place that they could go and try to get something done. Mm-hmm. And we had to work with our own people, because once people got into positions within county that you didn't even know they were there. You know, some of them would go and hide until something happened to them. Then they would come to me as NAACP president, want me to help them. I said, well, I didn't even know you was up there. You know, and that's one of the things I think that I used to have to, that made me a little bit, that grieved me a little bit. Well, made me angry. Because I always had a sense that when you moved up, you reached back and pulled a couple of people up with you. It appears to me that now we have people move up and they lock the door once they go in. You know, when I came up, I was blessed to be in areas where the powers to be were. And whenever I would go there, I would always find the black person to tell me what the lay of the land were and how I was supposed to accommodate myself in this environment. But now, if you go in that kind of environment and you see a black person, they almost run away from you. Like they don't even want you to know. Like they think that nobody knew they were black, so they don't want you to. They don't want you around them for fear people will see two black people, and they will discover we're black. And I don't know if that's just me, but I just thought we've lost this sense of community and a sense of while I don't carry all black people on my shoulder, but I do know that I've been blessed to be a blessing to help other people. And I often, and I hope it don't come off the wrong way, but I've really been blessed. Lord has been blessed, opened some doors for me that while I was in Edgewood, I never thought I would be open for me. I never thought I'd be able to see and be able to be in some places. And I'm sure he didn't do all of that for me, just for me. He did that so that I might be a blessing and help somebody else. And sometimes I see people who get blessings and they keep all the blessings for themselves and not share with other people.
Not only were you the president of the NAACP, but you were also the moderator of the Northern Virginia Baptist Association. So
120 churches.
You know a lot about the churches, black churches in this area. What do you think those churches did for the civil rights movement and activism?
Well, I think, it's changing now, but I think early on, the Northern Virginia Baptist Association have about 120 churches, and also served as state president, 1,300 churches, all not many, because Virginia has two major black conventions, one small and one larger. I was blessed to be president of the larger one. Is housed at headquarters in Virginia, down in Richmond, the Baptist General Convention, 1,300 churches. But I think early on, the older pastors tend to have been more accommodating and acceptance of things of the status quo, and just come and let us worship and wait on God to do whatever. He's going to fix this. We just need to wait and let him fix it. The younger pastors, the pastors that I see now, I think many of them tend to be a lot more active, a lot more looking at things and encouraging participation within the system, calling out things in the system, protesting even. Because I know we protested a couple of times down in front of at the government center, and we had younger preachers who would come and be with us over against the older preachers. And
do you remember what some of those protests were?
What did we protest? Matter of fact, I had the bulletin. It was in the paper, and I had the paper. Looked at the paper the other day. We were moving, and I passed the paper the other day. I can't remember what it was. I can't recall. Maybe as I'm talking, I may recall it. I can't recall it right now.
Okay. But you were saying some of the younger ministers were involved in the protest?
But this was the NAACP.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And some, primarily NAACP persons, but some of the ministers, pastors, came to be with us also.
So when you look back, well, first of all, let me ask you: were you involved, or did you go to the March on Washington, the original one, with Martin Luther King?
No.
No. Okay. What other protests were you involved in? Did you ever do any sit-ins, or did you do any marching for voters' rights, or anything like that?
No, just the ones that we did here in Fairfax.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So your legacy is really great within Northern Virginia with the NAACP and all the great work that you've done there.
I'm not sure if great is a good word for it, but the work that I've done here.
I think we could say it's great. Okay. Yes, absolutely. So where do you think we are now? Do you think it's better? Is status quo? Where do you think civil rights is, and where do you think we need to go?
I think we made some major accomplishments. We can go to restaurants. We can do some things, but And I hope this don't come off as if I'm an advocate the conspiracy theory, but I see white people now knowing that, I don't know if you know, within Fairfax, I think it's 2020, Fairfax will be minority majority. And so I think what they're doing now is creating an environment where, like in South Africa, even though the whites were the minority, they still rule. And I think I see some things happening around, like the school board, board of supervisors, making sure the leadership positions are white, so that even though when they lose the majority, they will still be in control. Mm-hmm. And I don't see, and we've been trying our very best to encourage this, more minority participation in the legislative system, because that's the way you really get things changed, is that you run for office. I was I preached at a church, matter of fact, last Sunday before that, and there was a young girl who was running for Jim Moran office, young black girl, and she was there, and she gave her testimony, whatever, and at the end, I went up and told her I was so glad to see her running, and gave her $100, because I was just so encouraged to see black people run for office. Because if you're really going to get things changed, that's the way you get changed, is that we got to have people running for office, and not just, because most of the time when we hear about things,